BTUC has compiled a document in response to the SAGE report. We will actually entertain any questions as to the contents of the document. We will also state categorically that the BTUC will be having ongoing dialogue as a result of the SAGE report and government's plan to eventually implement the changes.
Concerns to Bermuda Trade Union Congress and also our individual unions is the potential impact of the proposal, the proposed recommendations out of the report, because you will notice that they are, particularly as it relates to privatization and outsourcing, they're talking about privatization of 7 government departments and outsourcing 10 other government departments. That affects some 1,720 employees that work for the Bermuda government. And that should be of concern to people that work in organized labor, as well as people that work in unorganized labor. Because whilst people think that outsourcing or privatization is a good word, you have to look at the total impact of what that privatization or outsourcing is going to cost. Because, and I'll use this example for you, DPT right now currently has a deficit of, I'm going to say $12 million with the 250 employees that they have. If you privatize it, you might think, well, how does a private firm make up that $12 million deficit? Well, you're going to reduce your staff by 25%, but you're still going to have quite a bit of deficit. Well, let's look at it another way. Let's just say they're able to grow their revenues by 100%. Right now, they're taking revenues of about $8 million. So let's say they're able to grow that up to $16 million. So that means they've got to increase their revenues by 100%, and then probably cut staff by 25% to basically break even. So that's going to mean that whatever's costing you to get on the bus right now, double that, because that's the only way they can double the revenues. So the total fallout, and this is just for one department, the total fallout of that impacts not just the unionized workers, it also impacts the general public and Bermuda at large as relates to this whole issue of privatization. So whilst we don't understand the need for us to sit down and have dialogue, we need to be very careful how we move the dial too far to the left or too far to the right.
The SAGE Commission, a lot of them had business personnel who were doing this particular review, and they would look at performance and things like that. Now, I can say for sure that I know that myself, along with the sister unions and my general secretary, have always advocated for better performance within the civil service. We have lunch and learn sessions that we actually have with our members to encourage that there should be performance in the workplace at a certain level. Now, my particular thing is that you can't automatically take all of a business acumen and then just plop it into the civil service. I know, and I've said categorically, that although we can appreciate some of the business acumen that these recommendations are putting forth, you can't automatically go ahead and try to just fit it into the civil service. Now, when it comes to performance, we know that there are members who can probably, I would say, can use a little bit of urgency. And I think that as unions, we are working towards making sure that that does happen. I've said it categorically and over in my membership meetings that I cannot be advocating for jobs, and at the same time, my members are not performing at the levels that they're required to perform at.
The Bermuda Police Service, the furlough days, as far as I know, and having addressed it with our senior management, our furlough days are being managed extremely well. You have to realize that each government department is extremely different. The Bermuda Police Service works a shift system. So therefore, dependent on the division, the unit, personnel that is in that unit, the actual personnel that will be set on furloughs will come at a percentage within that unit, and we can only go past a certain percent. We have actually worked it out where furlough days are now set, so you have to take your days. And because you cannot carry over into next year, they have to be done. At this point in time, this is something that was just introduced. So therefore, there are some teething problems in other departments, but for now, I know our organization is working extremely well with it.
The Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service is very similar in regard to the shift-related issues with as though with police, we actually have had to do some thinking outside the box. I think when this is just another example where the unions would have recognized the state of the economy, and hence why that agreement was made. You know, we were already trying to assist with some things that would have come out eventually in the SAGE report. But I will say categorically that that, you know, when you're short-staffed and you know, the fire service has made bids to make it known to government that they're extremely short. Prisons were in the same boat. So there's definitely going to have to be some thinking outside the box to make this work. But again, you know, we wanted to ensure that every union representing government workers were affected the same.
One of the things that is a bit worrisome is as follows. The unions will take its time over the next months to review the document. It would be wrong for us to try to, in this interview, respond to 7 months of work that SAGE has done to satisfy those naysayers that either want reductions in the civil service, etc. What interests me about Bermuda is that we don't fully understand concepts. Privatization, which I'm glad SAGE recognized, failed in the UK. It's failed all over the world. We have Public Service International, of which some of us are recognized, who are one of the authorities on privatization. And we won't fail to call them in to assist us. But I think the other piece that needs to be mindful, some of these recommendations, nobody can figure out where they came from. Who were the sources? Johnny Public does have a right to expect the civil service or the public service to provide a service to them. But some instances where you hear critics, I can go into their businesses and scratch my head. Because, for instance, let me take the banks. The banks have cut so much that I still, for months, one bank, my mortgage had a defined processing date, December 2011. And no matter how many times I complained, I was told it was a glitch. So you see, if Bermuda is going to, quote unquote, all of us improve, efficiency has to improve in every facet if we are going to revitalize this economy and move Bermuda along. So SAGE, yes, in one sense, we need to do the recommendations, but in the other, how can you harm Bermudians who are already working, who are keeping the economy moving, and you got people that are unemployed, and as all the brothers have stated at this table, this desk, what are you going to do? So public, yes, if you want to see your brothers, sisters, aunts removed from the civil service, make sure you have deep pockets to help them finance the mortgages, the overseas children that are at universities, and everything else that goes along with maintaining Bermuda flowing. And to the outside world, remember, we're the third affluent country of the world. So unfortunately, we are what we've made ourselves.